What's up everyone, this is Shenj. As Phase 1 getting closer to the end, I want to briefly discuss about the future of Mage in Phase 2, specifically for PvP. And I want to start with what I think would be the most powerful spec and discuss about the weakness of each spec. Yeah, let's get right into it. So let's start with Fire spec. I think Fire spec is going to be the worst spec for PvP in the next phase, simply because Fire does not provide you with a lot of utilities like the other two spec. So even though I love Fire spec, I don't think it's going to be as strong as the other two. So let's just walk through the spec real quick. Now, everything is going to be the same as I mentioned before. The only differences is I put 2 points in Burning Soul and 3 points in Improved Scourge. Now, the reason is very simple because there are no other good options. You can put, you can max out the firepower, which gives you 4% more damage, but you're gonna be left out with 1 point, right? So you might as well just, put 3 points in Improved Scourge. 2 stacks of Scourge gives you 6% damage boost. So I think this is gonna be way better than 2 points in firepower. So I think max out the improved scourge is just better than the firepower. So with this build, you kind of want to play like super aggressive. You want to play like into enemy's face 24/7. So you want to apply constant pressure, leave no breathing room for your opponent. There's no resetting for Fire Mage. You'll most likely have the debuff on target, so there's no sheepian resetting. Ideally, you want to start with a sheep and a fireball, maybe one scourge, fire blast, and then pop your living flame, and then blast wave. Right, so you can fully utilize your living flame because the blast wave dazes the enemy for 6 seconds, which pretty much guarantee your living flame damage for at least like 4 or 5 seconds, right? So the next spec on the list is going to be Frost. I don't think Frost is going to change that much in terms of playstyle. You pretty much use the same rooms. I have tried many times with the Iceland's build, Iceland's Finger Frost, but the problem is you have very limited way to proc your Icelands, right? The only way to proc Finger Frost is Frostball. Unlike in TBC, you have the Water Alley, pretty much guarantee your Frostball Icelands combo. Even though you have a lot of survivability, yeah, the problem stay the same, with the Living Flame being your main damage spell, especially later into the phase when other classes become more mobile. They have more way to avoid Living Flame. Take Warrior for example, they have multiple charges, which if they play smart, they can use a charge to get away from the Living Flame. Because the travel time for Living Flame is very slow, right? I don't think it's going to be as effective as in phase 1. Yeah, that's why I think the Living Flame is going to fall off pretty hard later into the phase. I mean, right now it's still strong, so the big advantage of this combination is that you gain a lot of survivability as Frost Mage, as a mage. But the problem is, like I said, lack of damage, right? You don't have any reliable way to deal damage except for Living Flame. Once other classes have like more mobilities or survivability, if you can't like burst down the opponent during the Living Flame, you pretty much have no threat. You pretty much have no damage threat, even though you can survive, but that doesn't really, maybe it's good against like a melee class, You know, even though with the rogue, they have the preparation, they can like vanish twice. They have multiple way to get away from the living flame. So yeah, so Frost, I don't think Frost is gonna change that much. Uh, so this spec is strong right now in phase 1, but it's gonna fall off in phase 2. I don't think it's gonna become stronger just because the ice block and ice barrier. It might be good against some of the melee classes, but like I said, rogue is gonna become much stronger with the preparation, with double vanish, with the blind and everything. Another problem is Cone of Cold. Cone of Cold is your big burst, you know, because first it's instant cast. Second, it works really well with the Nova. Phase 2, you only get 2 ranks in Cone of Cold, which the base damage is very low. I think it's somewhere between like 140 or 180. So the rank 3 Cone of Cold is not available until like low 42. So the base damage of Cone of Cold is super low. Yeah, that's the big issue for Frost. But we will have to see like what kind of new rooms they will add in the next phase. But the Icelands, I think the Icelands and the Fingers of Frost are just super useless right now. They are not very compatible with any spec at all, unless they add something we can work with. You know, we can work with the Finger Frost. You know, maybe they can add like another frost damage spell that gives chill effect, so we can work with the Finger Frost build. So if we think back in like the Cataclysm or Mob, Fingers of Frost was super strong because there were multiple ways to proc it, right? For example, the Frost Orb was the perfect example, you know, to proc the Fingers of Frost. But in Classic, this room just feels weird. It does not work with any of the spec here. I could be wrong here. Frost might be still strong, but I doubt that it would be as strong as in phase 1. I thought that with the Fingers of Frost and Iceland's rooms, Frost spec was gonna be super strong, but after I've tested many times, I don't think they work well. I just don't think they are good rooms for Frost ever. You know, they don't work in PvP. I mean, they don't work in PvE. They don't work in PvP. They're just kind of like super useless right now. This is still going to be the meta spec for Frost with the regeneration and the living flame. Now, my top choice for PvP in the next phase is going to be Arcane. But the things about Arcane is that you get improved counterspell, which silence the target for 4 seconds. Now this is super strong talent, especially against caster. Now the reason why I think the Arcane works super well with the current rooms, because now we all know the downside about Arcane power is that it costs like 30% more mana, but the first 2 casts of Arcane Blast cost negligible amount of mana. You don't have to worry about mana cost for the first 2 casts of Arcane Blast. It also guarantees your damage for Arcane Surge, right? Because the more mana you have, the more damage you have. Like all the talents here are super compatible with this Arcane Surge and Arcane Blast. I don't think any class that can withstand the damage from the full combo of the Arcane Blast, and almost there's no way they can like counter it, right? So basically you open up with a sheep and you cast a 1 Arcane Blast, you counter spell, and then you pump Arcane Blast, and then followed by Arcane Surge. So I think this build is going to be super strong. And now I take the enlightenment instead of burnout. The reason is enlightenment just make this build more competitive, because if you take the burnout, if you take the enlightenment, so we don't rely on like RNG, right? Basically, we are going for the flat damage with the 10% from alignment and the 30% from the arcane power. You get 40% more damage. If you hit all your spells, it doesn't matter whether crit or not. You're gonna 100 to 0 the opponent, guaranteed. Unless it's like a warlock or warrior, like with a lot of HP. So yeah, I think, and also the enlightenment gives you a mana regeneration with meditation and constant arcane concentration. Even though you use your arcane surge, you can still maybe squeeze in like couple spells to finish the opponents off. I think this is more competitive. Even though if you don't one-shot the enemy, you still have a chance to, finish off the opponent. I think this build is going to be super strong in phase 2. Obviously, it's not going to work well in the BG because of the 25% damage reduction and the lack of sustained damage. But in terms of dueling, I think this is going to be like top A spec for Mage PvP. I'm definitely going to try this build a lot. My plan is to go fire in BG and then switch to arcane whenever I want to duel. As for Frost, I don't think I'm going to play Frost as much because, like I said, the playstyle is just gonna be the same. There's not much differences. Unless you play like with a pre-made, you want to play more of a facilitator, you probably go Frost. Other than that, it's a solo queue game or duel, I would definitely choose Fire or Arcane. So this is just my own opinion. I'm pretty sure there will be something different in the next phase because we don't know the new rooms yet. So don't take this too serious. Yeah, so just play whatever you enjoy the most, and thanks for watching.